Hello, my loves, and blessed Samhain if you are in the Northern Hemisphere, and a very joyful Beltane if you are in the Southern. Today, well, this week, has been a little weird here at home, so my partner is in the background playing his game right now on his very clackety mechanical keyboard, so if you hear that in the background, that's what it is. So I did want to, I wasn't necessarily going to do a reading this week, but I feel the need for Samhain, especially where I've lost grandparents this year. I'm not sure what's going to come through. We'll see. But let's start out here with the Samhain deck from the Seasons of the Witch series. Oh, I'm going to actually turn off. There we go. I could hear myself in my headphones speaking, and that is, nope, that does not work for me. That does not work for me. Yeah. Oh, okay. Mischief. Keep your eyelids open and sight sharp as nails, for there is something trailing behind your tail. Silence. There's a sweet embrace in the nothingness stillness brings, a presence of self fully embodied. And let's get one final one for this Samhain reading. Just this top one? All of them? Okay, never mind. We're getting a couple. All Hallows Eve, call upon the voices that stir your senses through the night. Cast an unforgiven howl as you stomp your might through the ground. I'm just going to put my glasses on because I want to leave the cards on the table. There we go. Banshee. Heed my warning, dear child, for what I hold is far from unsung lullabies. Swallow a nail, and you can expect bleeding from within. And this is the final one that came out. Nature spirits. On your toes, twirl and twirl until you're ready to take flight. They arrive in the winds beneath your wings and speak through the swaying of the trees. So I find this deck very interesting in what the cards represent. And even the way in which the sort of explanations, vibes that are written down here are written, it is almost difficult for my mind to like grasp at them, and it's not because I know that it's not because I'm not supposed to be reading them. There are some like oracle cards that I always feel that I just need to look at them and get their vibe just from that and not necessarily read from the book, but this deck I need to read it, but it's like grasping at mist, at fog, at spirit, right? Which is very fitting for a Samhain deck. So we have mischief. We have a warning here. And what's interesting is that we have nails in these two cards, which I feel is our indication of spirit telling us. Keep your eyelids open and sight sharp as nails, for there is something trailing behind your tail. Heed my warning, dear child, for what I hold is far from unsung lullabies. Swallow a nail, and you can expect bleeding from within. This is very much initially just a sort of reminder that we're not here alone. And I don't mean to do any sort of readings that are fear-mongering or to make you feel like you need to be fearful at all times. I think this is just a sort of, our words have power. Our actions have power. There's nature spirits all around us, right? There are also, Banshee, these sort of people type spirits around us that maybe have not necessarily been people as well. there's also us haunting ourselves, I feel. And I'm feeling, okay, here we go. And I'm feeling from this, the message from this right now is, I would definitely try to go out into nature at some point soon, okay? On a foggy day, if it's safe for you to do so. My lungs don't like the fog. My lungs don't like a lot of humidity, so I would go out, but maybe I would wear a mask or something, because I find that helps with that kind of humidity. But I would go out there and ground yourself in with the earth, but allow the fogginess, that sort of like visual representation of the spirit, to be that wall representation, that physical, almost tangible. But remember, it's not tangible. You can't catch fog, right? Allow that to bring you into this sort of headspace of connecting with the earth, connecting with connecting with the earth and the spirits around you. Yes, connect to your ancestors as well. But make sure that you have barriers around yourself. You know, do your warding that you need to do in order to be in this space and be protected, right? Famously, this is a time of year, even in if you're in Beltane season, these are times of year where the veil is thin. I don't necessarily subscribe to that so much. I think people's minds are on it more, and that is likely why spirits are around even more at this point. But I think the veil can be thin if you are open to it, if you are doing what you need to do in order to lift that veil for yourself so that you could be in touch with, right? But what I'm getting here is that, yes, there are spirits around. Ward yourself. Don't do anything. I'm getting the word in my mind, stupid. You know, don't do stupid things. Like, don't be egging on icky spirits, you know? Let them go rot and do whatever. There is a purpose. Everything is an ecosystem, right? But what I'm getting from this is that with grounding ourselves into our understanding that we are also part of spirit as well, grounding that into our physical self here in this world, in this wood, in this outdoors, you know, there is in that silence, in that understanding of our wildness, of our spiritness, that we are not so disconnected from spirit, that we are not so different from this. We are just contained in these vessels, these human bodies, right? There is something to be gleaned here. There is something, I mean, it's about ourselves, right? A presence of self fully embodied. I'm very much getting, this is some sort of like ritual we need to be taking, you know, together, but separately, you know, where we allow ourselves to reconnect in with what is true. And I'm very specifically getting that word true. And it's also bringing up the thoughts of how insane, how unreal, overwhelming, very chaotic air energy that the internet is, that social media is, that all of the things that are happening in the world right now that are incredibly terrible, and also all of the things that are happening with the purpose of bamboozling us, of overstimulating us. This is the opportunity to ground into ourselves, ground into our environments, ground into reality. Because if we can bring ourselves into alignment with our true self, with this person who is sitting inside here that we can't really see very often with all this noise, this external noise outside of us, right? If we can get into alignment with that person, then we can do the best things that we need to do for our local area, which that is the place where we can do the most good, right? This is very much I'm very much getting the feeling of this is a restoration of balance of things. Because again, like with the way that the world is right now, there's clearly an enormous imbalance that has been just fomenting. It cycles. Things get better and then things get really worse and then things get better. But if we're grounded in ourselves, if we truly understand ourselves and we root in to the world about us, again, community work, doing the things that you can in the place that you live, that is the most powerful you can be. That is bringing heaven here on earth. That is bringing spirit here on earth. That is bringing the best and most wondrous type of good here on earth, grounding that in. Be wary, though, of those who are trying to distract you. Okay? Be wary of intaking so much that it harms you, right? I just did a video actually on my music channel last week or the week before, I can't remember, about how to continue creating as an artist when the world is on fire, because the world is 1,000,000% on fire right now in every sense of that way, of that term, right? Be wary of taking in too much. Be wary of being too afraid of what's going on outside. That's, there we go. Finding the messages. Again, sometimes it feels obscured, especially with this deck. And I think that's perfect for this message, because these are going to be things that are trying to distract you, trying to obscure your sight of yourself, right? Trying to obscure. We're grounding ourselves in nature, and we need to forget that. We need to remain very seated within ourselves, within the spirit that is us, right? Within nature herself, because we are nature herself here. We are of this earth. It's time to get rid of the distractions. It's time to... all the things that you dream about being when you're a child, all the ways that you hope that you are when you're an adult, you need to bring that back in. Our child selves see ourselves so truly. We're just incapable yet of putting that into practice. And because our world has been so loud and has gotten so much louder and so much more distraction, again, it is okay to see what is going on in the world, to care about things, to do what you can where you can, in any sort of activism way. But you also need to do whatever your talents are, whatever your skills are, whatever it is that burns very brightly in you, whether that is, it can be activism, right? That can be something that you are doing in your community that serves not only your community, but because of the sharing that we do now, serves everybody else, right? Or, like I said in my video, as artists, part of our job is to imagine the future together. We are the ones who have the vision. That's why we're artists. That's why we have to put out these fantastical songs and poems and musicals and films and stories and all of the things, right? And dance. We are the ones who imagine the future. So my job is to imagine the future. And I do that through story, through my songs, through music, right? The storytelling in that. So whatever it is, if you are somebody who likes to take care of your friends and family, do that. That is important. All of the roles that we have are important. They try to make us distracted with the fact that, oh, well, you're only useful if you are making money for a big corporation. That is absolutely not true. That is 1,000,000% not true. Your most important thing is the thing that makes you the happiest, because when you are the happiest, doing the thing that is so important to you, that lights you up like a burning beacon in the night, you allow other people to start lighting their beacons, and then the whole world becomes a light. The whole world, more and more people become these sanctuaries for other people, or these inspirations for other people. What a powerful message. What a powerful freaking message. There's no joking around about this, you know? I want to know how we keep ourselves on the right path, how we keep ourselves in alignment with the magic that we're supposed to make in this world, each of us individually, so that our world can become such a better place. How do we do this? Ancestors, spirits, hello. Okay. Understand that you are not bound by all of the noise, by all of the distractions. You are not bound to that. You can very freely walk out of here. We are not, I mean, this ribbon is so loose around us. Get out of here. Get out of here. But really, get out of the places that provide too much distraction for you. Get off of the social media that only leaves you feeling awful. Find other things in your life to have distraction, but also inspire, like reading. Reading is so important. Reading books, reading stories, it's so important. We don't do enough of it. But it's so inspiring and opens us up to better be able to understand each other, because we're seeing the thoughts of somebody else. We're seeing the experiences of somebody else. They're not doing what we would do. But maybe they're doing something that we only wished we could do. And you can get out of here. If that's the thing that you need to do, is get out of there, you can get out of there. It's so easy, but you're keeping yourself in there. And I understand it's not just you. Again, it's that chaotic air energy, right? This is swords. Look at these clouds. This is the purpose, is to keep us distracted. But you can get out. Get out. Get outside. All of these cards. The top. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We get out of this. We sit in our full alignment with not only ourselves, but with nature, with this world that we have decided to come here to live on. And we build this beautiful, fucking abundant legacy for not only us. Once we unwrap, what I'm also getting the very strong message of now too, is that once we unwrap this from our eyes, we realize what is already here. What legacies are already here that are so abundant for everyone, that supports everyone. And we add to it with our light, with that beacon that is our passion in these lives, the things that we are called to do here. Okay. Oh my goodness, the cards are really falling out today. Do we want this card? Yes. Okay, and we want these ones. Yes, for sure. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So this is, okay, this is the understanding, the acceptance that we can't see how we get this, okay? But this is already here. We can already continue building on this, right? You have to find the communities in which your light can shine the best. locally and online, but online is becoming a little bit harder, obviously, now. I have to say it because it's come up in my brain a couple times now, but I have a Discord, and I was trying to get it started back up again with the subscription, like the patronage that I have on my website. And I was going back and forth over it because I was like, oh, I don't, like, Discord has had security issues. All social media has been ways for people to track people in very gross ways. I just read that ICE in the lower part of Turtle Island, it can now keep track of a bunch of social media posts and stuff like that for investigations of people. And now I'm like, okay. And I saw somebody make this post of, you know what? I'm just going to get off the regular internet with these big corporate social media places, and I'm just going to start a forum on my own website. And I think, honestly, this is a sort of making a legacy for myself. I think I actually am just going to say, okay, we're not going to do Discord. We're going to go on my website because I am the one who will be running that. I am the one who will be looking at that. Nobody else can look at that. And it's private. It's behind. You'd have to have a subscription to be able to get in there, right? Even though basically you can get on there for free, right? So yeah, going back to these very sorts of doing the work, doing the real work in the real world sort of way. And we feel like we can't see it, but honestly, we're forging a new path here for it. Reforging an old path, renewing an old path. It's like it's like saying neo-Renaissance music or neo-medieval music, where it is you are not singing the old music, you are just creating music in those old styles, right? Neoclassicist like art and things like that. So we are reforging something that we feel like has been lost to us, but it's not. We just have to unwrap. And oh my goodness, this other story that I heard this morning that is very much playing into this. The guy who was just able to get married in Notre Dame in Paris, he was able to do it because he was a carpenter who worked on the ceiling, the roof, after Notre Dame burned in 2019, I believe. And here's the thing about that. He didn't do it in a modern way. The carpenters did not rebuild that roof in the modern way. There had been this movement in the 90s to relearn the old ways of building in France, and they used those techniques to essentially renew, to essentially neo-Gothic build this cathedral, right? But now, these things should not be forgotten. We need to bring them in and bring them into now, which is, again, I'm getting the message in my head again of like basically what I like to do with music. I adore medieval and Renaissance and old music, okay? I have sung quite a few songs that I have put out that are old music, but I make them in my way because I am singing out my voice. My light is shining through the stained glass of those old songs. Oh my goodness. Ugh, this reading is incredible. This is going to take work because this requires us to know ourselves. This requires us to know that we are, in a way, sort of like limited by these bodies, but we are limitless here. They want us to think that we are limited, but we are not. There are so many things that we used to do that we can bring back that are so abundant in the way, not of making some rich guy richer, but of making our communities, of making our relationships with not only us, but the planet that we live on so incredibly abundant. Oh my goodness, this is making me emotional. And here, when we start getting to work again, you know, these crows are off to go do their own work as well, right? when we do that and we are in community with each other, we bring in the light of the sun, we bring in the light of the moon, we do this snake sort of transformation, this molting, this getting rid of the layers of soot and dirt and muck and grime that they have placed upon us, and we get rid of it. And we find our hearts again, together. And we make this beautiful, beautiful fucking legacy that's going to be beautiful for not only us, but our children and our children's children and their children and the entirety of this planet, not just us as people, but nature herself, Earth herself, for the winds to be healthy again, for the oceans and rivers and lakes to be healthy again, for us to not blow up parts of this earth. Like I read this thing about Australia doing a stupid deal of blowing up some parts of coral reef off their coast so that they can look for oil. It's not the time for oil and sludge anymore. It is the time of coming back to ourselves, coming back to us as these living, breathing beings on this living, breathing earth. And we ground in as trees into our heart, into the heart of the earth. What a beautiful and powerful message. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that next week I can get back a little bit on schedule, though I am somebody who doesn't like to push myself so hard on the schedule. I need to feel, the calling. But thank you so much for being here. I hope this was as inspiring, even though it was veiled at first, for you as it was for me. This is a beautiful, oh my goodness, my heart. We can build the most beautiful world together. We just have to do the work to do it. I love you so very much. I'm sending you so much love and so much of the beacon that is lit in my heart and my soul to you, to help inspire you to be lit like a beacon yourself. See you next time.